Gravel bikes are evolving pretty darn fast. But we've been looking at the signs and have jumped a few steps ahead. Behold the Orbea Oiz drop bar edition, the future of gravel. Possibly.
In this video, I'm going to see if this is a stupid idea or whether it's actually not too shabby. Is it fast?
Oh, I could get used to this.
Is it fun? We're also going to hear from a gravel racing tech pioneer, Dylan Johnson, as he talks us through the rationale behind some of the crazy gravel tech he's been using in some of the biggest races out there.
Wide tires are gonna feel they're gonna feel slow, but don't trust your feelings.
Gravel bikes have come a long way in a short space of time. Tyre clearance has ballooned, geometry has been tweaked, and a whole plethora of gravel-specific parts have been invented. Everything from group sets and wheels to handlebars and saddles. Which is kind of weird when you think about it, because technically gravel is just road that hasn't been stuck together very well. But however, in spite of all this new tech, they are still unmistakably dirt road bikes, which is great because riding dirt on road bikes has always been fun, since way before it was given a really cool name. But the fact is, the boundaries of gravel have really been pushed and are continuing to be pushed by events like the Silk Road or the Atlas Mountain Race, super adventurous ultra races, or maybe even just the kind of epic rides you and I might do in our backyards, or in fact by the most prestigious gravel race series in the world, the Lifetime GP. Their boundaries are so blurred, half the races are mountain bike races anyway, and a few of the others are such extreme gravel, they get raced on some pretty wacky contraptions. Yes, we are looking at you, Keegan Swenson and Dylan Johnson. So we thought, well, let's see what it's all about, and while we're at it, why not just take it to another level entirely? We've got the kit, we've got the expertise, let's just build the next generation of gravel bike before anyone else does, to see if it's any good.
Oh
man, that's going to take a bit of getting used to. Whoa! For those of you who aren't familiar, this is the latest in a long line of high-achieving cross-country bikes from our mates at Orbea. Now, again, for those that don't know, cross-country is getting a little bit gnarlier than it used to, and this bike has been designed for that. So it's got really aggressive geometry, and it's got 120 millimeters of suspension, front and back. Crucially, though, this suspension can be locked out, i.e. turned on or off, at the push of a lever. So on pavement or smooth trails, you're effectively still able to ride a rigid bike. Now, creating this bike has not been easy. I think it's fair to say our mechanic Adam has not enjoyed the process of building Frankenstein's monster. I mean, the worst bit was removing the beautiful one-piece carbon cockpit and replacing it with those drop bars, fine, on which unfortunately the lockout lever doesn't actually fit. So that has gone. What's worse is that stem doesn't really fit either, and all of the normally hidden, beautifully integrated cables and hoses are now on display for us all to see. Things got slightly better with the components though, so SRAM Access almost actively encourages you to create wacky things like this. So those Apex Road levers connect wirelessly to this XO transmission rear mech, and actually the brakes as well, and mountain bike brakes, we've got level brakes on here. Functionally then, it should work like a dream. The question is whether or not we've actually just ruined a beautiful mountain bike. Right, sat in the saddle, it feels very familiar, okay? This feels like a gravel bike. I got my normal shifters, normal seat. Whoa! Oh man, that's gonna take a bit of getting used to. I don't know what's going on there. It's very smooth. Oh my goodness me. Super smooth. Oh, I could get used to this. Ooh, yeah. First rocky descent. I can just hear my suspension merrily sucking up everything in my path. Even though I think it's fast, it doesn't feel fast compared to a gravel bike. Now you can really feel the fact that the steering is a lot heavier. So on a mountain bike, of course, your hands would be much further apart, so you've got more leverage. But then here, because they're narrow and also further forward, it means that you've actually got to put a bit more pressure through your hands to get the bike to change direction. Whee! So what is the point of all of, well, this? I mean, there's two, actually. So firstly, the aforementioned Lifetime GP series, we see the fastest riders, like Keegan Swenson, regularly running mountain bike tyres on their gravel bikes, and in fact, running drop handlebars on their mountain bikes, because they say, and we've got no reason to doubt it, it's faster.
The reason I run mountain bike tires in gravel races is because they're faster.
See? Told you.
I've done a lot of testing on this, just on my own, and then actually I was just at the Silverstone wind tunnel with the pedaling efficiency rig, and it confirmed the testing that I've already done. I'll make my own video about that at some point in the future, but basically a mountain bike tire can utilize a thinner casing, and you won't increase the puncture risk because the volume of the tire is so much higher. And that thinner casing usually, not in all cases, but usually means a lower rolling resistance tire, and especially on gravel, that seems to be the case.
With wider tyres and suspension, there are other benefits too.
Bumps and rocks, and also, well, gravel, impede your forward momentum by bumping the bike around and causing vibration. When you've got wider tyres, your bike can effectively absorb more of that vibration, allowing you to roll faster for less effort. Then when descending, whilst that effect is also amplified because of the higher speeds, you also get more control and more puncture resistance too. So you can go even faster. And that effect is amplified even more when you're running suspension. Plus, with suspension, when cornering and braking, you can do both harder because your tyres are in contact with the ground more of the time. You effectively have more control. Secondly, there's comfort. So for those of us who are perhaps not interested only in speed, or in speed at all, in fact, having bigger tyres and suspension makes a bike so much more comfortable. The pair of them combined absorb so much rough stuff coming up from the trail, whether that's small hits or big hits alike. So you can spend more time sitting and pedaling and less time rattling and bouncing. So what then are the downsides? Kind of a good question. I mean, mountain bikers do regularly tell us how great mountain bikes are, which is funny, but actually they kind of have a point, right? So a fully rigid mountain bike frame can weigh the same or even less than a gravel bike frame. Mountain bike wheels can weigh the same as gravel or even road wheels. In fact, I think the only component which is heavier on a mountain bike is the tyres, to the extent that a fully rigid mountain bike like an Orbea Alma can weigh in comfortably less than 8 kilos without resorting to anything stupid on there. When you add suspension to the mix, you add an extra kilo for the front forks and then probably another kilo for the rear suspension. But in performance terms, you get a heck of a lot back. I mean, there is a reason why not many mountain bikers ride fully rigid bikes. Suspension, be that just front or full, is pretty dialed, and it kind of makes things a lot better.
Mountain bikes with drop bars are only faster than gravel bikes for certain races. And I would say that those races are races where it's very much in between a mountain bike and a gravel race. Those specific races in that specific terrain, it's faster because of the suspension and the aerodynamics of the drop bars. You're combining the two for a very niche type of terrain. It's not faster for all terrain.
hold on a minute then, why are we even riding dirt road bikes at all? Well, for the same reason we're riding road bikes, and that is that they feel great. They are fast, they're direct and responsive, and they're agile. And yes, whilst your contact points might be in the same place, and so when you're sat in the saddle just pedaling at a steady tempo, there's not much to separate them. As soon as you start to get out the saddle or you start to accelerate and throw the bike around, the differences are crystal clear. This is just like, I don't know, like it just dances underneath you.
So I'm gonna be honest, I don't really ride a drop bar mountain bike for pleasure that much. I kind of just do it for Leadville and Schwamigan, which are both lifetime Grand Prix races.
What you're saying is it feels right.
It does feel pretty yeah. Wide tires are gonna feel they're gonna feel slow, but don't trust your feelings.
I feel like it might be a niche product. Like here, it's great. Oh, now it's not. Now it's great again. I can see why for gravel races where you just have to sit in the saddle and pedal hard, it would definitely be faster. But I think it's that lack of responsiveness when you're changing direction or getting out of the saddle or doing anything different. But maybe it's just losing a little bit of the spice, a little bit of the fun. It's like a steamroller as opposed to a little, I don't know, Ferrari or something.
So where does that leave this then? Is it a vision of the future? For some of you, it's probably actually a blast from the past. If you remember, about 5 years ago, we went to Colorado to ride what was at the time a brand new bike from Niner. It was called the MCR, and it had front and rear suspension. Now, I actually had a lot of fun riding that bike. I thought it was pretty cool. Clearly not that many people agreed, because 4 years after it went into production, they stopped selling it. And nothing like it has appeared since. Front suspension, yes, quite a lot of it, but proper rear suspension, no. So is it that Niner were just too far ahead of the curve, or is it simply that it's a product that not enough people want? Judging by the reactions from my mates on our regular Riding Buddy WhatsApp group, they don't really want it either. Although one guy did say that his dad was really interested in it. And maybe that is kind of the point, right? For some people who are either purely interested in straight line speed, i.e. you're racing unbound, or you're interested in comfort and you just want to get from A to B on nice, quiet tracks and trails in comfort, then this is going to be great. But I can't help but think that we've actually just ruined a really good mountain bike, and that it would be so much better if it had flat handlebars, and cheaper too, right? Because road levers are way more expensive than mountain bike brakes and mountain bike shifters, which are much, much simpler to make. So I can see a use case for a bike like this with a lot of modification, let it be said. I mean, this is definitely a early prototype, but I mean, I wouldn't ride it. It's kind of freaky and fun, but it would stay in my shed, basically, until it gets flat handlebars back on it again. And then I'll absolutely treasure it. Anyway, very, very interested to hear your thoughts on this. I mean, do you agree? Is this just one step too far and a Franken bike that needs to be returned to its former glory? Or can you see the use case? I mean, do you fancy one? Get involved in the comment section down below. And, well, yes, I'm going to go back and quickly put the proper handlebars back on. Apologies to Orbea. Sorry, guys.